Hello guys, today I'm going to show you an extremely powerful corrosion build, the new power surge meta. Let me show you the DPS without any added buffs, like no bullseye, cookery, deviation, food, drink, etc. I've never made or seen a weapon build before that could go over 200 to 300k DPS without added buffs, so that's pretty insane. And with just food, drink, and bullseye, I'm going over 500k DPS. Let me show you some very quick performance clips and then I'll explain the build. As usual, I'll try to keep the video short but informative and easy to understand for beginners. By the way, keep in mind that this week's silo buffs or debuffs or weekly mutations are not suitable for this shotgun build. Otherwise, all these enemies can be easily one-clipped, but of course, it's still performing great and it's really fun to play. Also, this build has a lot of survivability, so you feel tanky and you almost never have to heal. It is just super chill to have that auto-regenerating shield which absorbs the damage most of the time, making your gear durability last a lot longer, and while exploring lower level areas, you're pretty much immortal. Alright, now I'm gonna give you a very quick and simple explanation on how this weapon build works, so let's jump into the build details. So our main weapon Corrosion can deal an elemental shock damage 80% of the time when you're shooting a target. And this shock damage or power surge normally cannot deal crit damage or weak spot damage. And the power surge damage does not decrease with distance. However, this weapon has a unique feature to make power surge deal crit damage. And as you keep shooting and triggering power surge, the power surge crit damage keeps increasing heavily. As for the calibration, I'm using rapid shot style with double crit rate. You can also use crit rate and crit damage. Basically, use the calibration with better stats close to the max. As for the accessories, I'm using these attachments to maximize my accuracy. For the ammunition, I mainly use tungsten AP rounds, but for the nightmare silos, I use suppression rounds for deviants and penetration rounds for humanoid enemies. Blasting round is good in all scenarios, but it's too costly to craft. For the secondary weapon, we have three choices. You can use the bingo sniper for a sure bullseye proc, wildfire pistol for a more frequent bullseye proc on mobs, and the crossbow for a harder bullseye proc but ensuring more DPS. And for the new players, these weapons can inflict a debuff called bullseye on your targets, which marks them with a blue outline, making them temporarily vulnerable so they will receive more damage. Additionally, you can keep a primal rage in your inventory to lower HP with more control, because lower the HP, higher the damage. For the melee weapon, you can use a cookery for this huge damage buff, but to get this buff easily, you have to throw an ice crystal and kill it with the cookery. Yes, it's alive, and boom, you have the massive damage buff. Now let's talk about the armors. This is very important. I'm using 4-piece treacherous armors. Basically, when you have low HP and low sanity, it gives you a lot of damage and makes you tanky at the same time. Some people suggest 3-piece treacherous and 2-piece lone wolf for the extra crit rate while sacrificing the shield. But the problem is, whether you use 3-piece or 4-piece treacherous in your build, you'll be doing similar damage. So with 3-piece treacherous, you're not even a glass cannon, you're just glass. And if you're a new player or a returning player who needs to grind the endgame contents like nightmare silos, you're gonna have a much better time with 4-piece. Plus, you'll hardly have to use a healing shot and you can stay at low HP more comfortably compared to a 3-piece treacherous set build, and lower the HP, higher the damage. Next, we are definitely using the gas mask hood as our unique key gear for its insane buff to crit rate and power surge damage. For the new players, we can equip only one key gear. And the last armor piece is from the Lone Wolf set, which gives you one extra round, and if you have only 5% magazine capacity with any of your mods, you're gonna have 2 extra rounds in the chamber. Now let me quickly show you the animal skins that I used to craft these armors. Lunar animal skins go really well with low HP build. Don't worry if you're a new player or a returning player who missed the lunar events. I'll show you how you can still get a ton of lunar skins, and also you can get the lunar mods and lunar deviations. Firstly, many of us are still raising lunar animals, so I would highly recommend that you buy or trade for a pair of lunar wolves, goats, and rabbits. But how to get those for free along with the lunar mods? I'll explain it very quickly. You're going to want to join a server that has the Starfall tag, preferably a Maniba server if you're a new player. In that type of servers, you'll experience low gravity tide events when you can float around and collect these orbs to get gravity crystals. Dropping these enemies and opening these starfall crates gives you gravity crystals too. Once you have enough crystals, press F3, then go to Visional Wheel, then Starfall Collection, then Past Shop, and here you can spend the gravity crystals and buy lunar mods, skins, deviations, food recipes, cosmetics, and everything. Let's talk about the mods. Best choice for our main weapon would be Shock Rampage with Power Surge suffix. This mod can increase your Power Surge trigger chance to almost 100%, which will give you more DPS compared to our second option, Static Shock. As for the attributes, you're gonna want to prefer having gold or high substats for damage against boss or mobs, then target with Power Surge, then Power Surge damage, and Shock damage in this order for maximum damage output. Also, you can enjoy a 100% Power Surge trigger chance by having the substat Power Surge trigger chance at only 4.8%. For the secondary weapons, I'm using Vulnerability Amplifier for more damage against marked enemies. And I'm not using any mods for the melee weapon. For the headgear, I'm using Fateful Strike with lunar suffix. I just showed you how to get lunar mods, but you can use violent mods as a substitute till you get the lunar mods. For a critical hit focused build, we always prioritize weapon and crit damage substat, but for this build, adding a little elemental and status damage will give you more damage. If you're using all violent mods, then take at least one talent mod. For the mask, I'm using First Electrocution Power Surge. By the way, I just want to take a couple of seconds to appreciate you guys liking my videos and subscribing. But if you want to go above and beyond, you can donate to support the channel. Link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. For the gloves, I'm going with Crit Amplifier Violent. In this setup, it gives me more damage than Crit Boost. For the top, you have two options, Critical Rescue and Ardent Shield. Both will greatly increase the survivability of a low HP build. Some people suggest quick comeback, but the damage reduction is far more important than slightly faster reload speed. Look, anyone can disagree with me in the comment. Maybe you're a super pro player who doesn't get hit, but I'm a simple man and I'm showing a build that will benefit the mass. For the pants, I'm using Deadshot Violent. It would be nice to have ammo capacity as a substat with violent mods, but having Downstar suffix will give you more damage. For the shoes, obviously I'm using Rush Hour since this is a low HP build, and because of the Downstar suffix, I have status and crit damage with it. For better understanding of the mod combinations, if my head and shoes had crit damage and weapon damage substats, then I'd like to have elemental and status damage for my torso mod to maximize damage. And if you don't have lunar or downstar mods yet, then go with 2 power surge suffixes, 4 violence, and 1 talent suffix. But get those lunar mods as soon as you can. They're just too good. Food and drink choice is simple, but here's a suggestion. Use croc meat and deer meat to cook your food for more power surge and bullseye damage. Place a couple of little bunnies and they will bring you a ton of meats. Chef class can stack 2 food and drink buffs, and they can use the creative cooking ability to make interesting food or drink. Before I end the video, I'll show you my cradle setup and my stats. Leave a like, subscribe, or donate wherever you please, but I just appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one.